On today's episode of Wrong Side, the trio is together. Jake is home for spring break and gets to do an episode with Joey and I. We go over what's going on in Jake's life, the craziness happening in Seattle, along with a newer topic discussing who and who should not get a statue and what determines a statue at a stadium, and a fantastic interview with Jack Settleman from Snapback Sports, and clutch moment of the week along with Outside the Line. In a world full of champions, we find ourselves on the wrong side.
Welcome back, Wrong Siders. Happy Wrong Side Wednesday. Today is March 12th, and for the first time ever, the trio is here. Jake is home for spring break. Him and Michael together in person, both repping the Wrong Side gear. Jake, how is it being home? What do you got planned for the week? How's life been?
Life's been pretty good. We got a lot planned for the week. On Saturday, Olivia and I got in around 4 o'clock, kind of unpacked, showered, relaxed, had some great dinner at home. Stan cooked some delicious steaks. It was basically as if he bought an entire cow, but that was good. Kind of just
are these the clutch moment of the week steaks?
Yes, clutch moment of the week steak. Yes.
Spoilers for the clutch moment. These steaks had to have been damn good.
No, the steaks were really good. Kind of just relaxed.
Stop touching the headphone.
I do it always. It bothers me.
Me too.
The steaks were really good. Just kind of relaxed the rest of the night. We were tired after a long travel day. Sunday, woke up. I worked out, relaxed. We had the family over for a family lunch that was kind of long. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It was a little long. I was getting a little sleepy. Then went to the Ducks game. Got a W, so that was cool. I was boots on the ground for that one.
Go Ducks.
One goal away from a free chicken sandwich, but they couldn't get it done. Went to the beach today. Went to the beach on Monday, and then going to the Disneyland on Tuesday.
Hell yeah!
And then rest of the week, LA, and probably some shopping.
Love it. Other than that, there's been a lot of news in NFL free agency. Michael, obviously here, we've caught up with him, busy with work, but we're all here together. We'll keep it short for now. We have a great topic for you guys coming up, which is the debate of who deserves a statue outside of the stadium. But before that, a little NFL free agency preview. The Seahawks have been going through it, my guy. DK is gone. Sam Darnold, what is your thought process? How are we feeling headed into the draft? Who is your desired draft pick? Take us through Seattle right now.
Sure, I'll give you my little breakdown of Seattle. I knew once Tyler Lockett was released last week, that things were going to start going up in flames and that John Schneider was going to start to pull some strings and start doing things in Seattle. I think it's going to be more of a rebuild year. Losing Lockett, I knew it was kind of over for him and that it was kind of going to be the JSN show. DK wanted out. I was talking to a friend of mine that is in beta with me, and I bet him $5 that DK was going to get traded before the draft. So I'm $5 richer there.
Easy $5, yeah.
So we'll take it. But I think that it's going to be an interesting draft process. Picking at 18, I would assume we're going to go O-lineman. My desired O-lineman, I would like either an Ohio State lineman, which would be ideal, or just really any O-line at pick 18. Kind of just need to build up that offensive line to protect Sam. And then in that round two, we have 2 picks. So I would hopefully go get maybe one other O-lineman and maybe a receiver.
Okay.
I know we have JSN and Jake Bobo, but if not O-lineman in the first round, I'm not the biggest fan of Noah Fant. Tyler Warren at pick 18 from Penn State would be another desired pick for me.
But they have Barner. He's not bad.
No, he's not bad, but
electric.
I think Tyler Warren's a great tight end. I think that he could really be a big factor in the Seattle offense. I also think in round 3, even though we did draft Darnold, already have the name taped over the Metcalf jersey, ready to go for opening week.
Man.
I think it's going to be. I think I'd take Jackson Dart in round 3 if he lands into round 3.
I do not think Jackson Dart will be there in round 3.
I don't think he'll be there in round 3.
Where do you think Dart would go?
I think there's this chance he sneaks into the first, and he's a second round pick. He'll be taken before Will.
Ooh.
I agree. I think taken before Will, but if say he is not going to be there in the 3rd round, we'll take him in the 2nd round. He'll just sit behind Sam. Sam will give him that veteran, show that he's the veteran. He'll play behind him, and if
experience mentality.
Yeah, veteran.
Is Sam
experience.
Darnold a trusted veteran in this league? Are we giving Sam Darnold a trusted veteran status?
I mean, who else is going to do the trusted veteran status for him in Seattle?
Jameis, what is going on with Jameis Winston? Is my question.
Where's Jameis?
Where's Jameis?
I couldn't really tell you. I think that he might have to be the veteran person for Jackson Dart if we do draft him in round 2. Because I'll tell you this, Sam Howell is not going to do it for him.
That's fair.
But I think definitely have to go get some offensive linemen. Definitely one more receiver and possibly a tight end and maybe another defensive player later in the draft.
It's a lot.
We need all positions.
Michael's adding them up. That's a lot of people. I don't think there's DK Metcalf is obviously a big loss. On the defensive side of the ball, I'm not as familiar with the team, but Geno to Darnold is not necessarily a massive drop off if things work out for Sam. Like what we saw with Sam Darnold in the last game of the year was obviously very, very bad. And that's what happens when a guy like Sam Darnold gets to a high level. Geno never even been close to getting there. So in that way, like having a serviceable quarterback as a Bears fan, I don't know much about that, but having a still serviceable quarterback is good and should serve that you guys like aren't incredibly worse than you've been in the last couple of years is really long-winded take. But
I think the way I look at it is that we are in a little bit better position. I feel that Sam doesn't make as many mistakes as Geno does. Geno makes a lot of mistakes in the pocket where Sam can run a little bit better and have some vision within the offense. And I think that Geno, after seeing what he did when I was there against the Vikings, after what Sam did to us, and hearing the fans say, "Why Geno, why?" after the loss, I wouldn't say I'm nervous for next year. I mean, here's my take for you right now. We're going to have a better record than the Raiders. I think we're going to have a better record than the Raiders.
That won't be hard to do.
No, it won't be hard to do.
But Geno's the quarterback.
But Geno's the quarterback of the Raiders is what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course.
I think that we're going to have a better record than the Raiders, and I think that even though they have a new quarterback in Geno there, I'm sure they're going to put some puzzle pieces together in that early first-round pick that they have, I still think they're going to screw it up, and we're going to still have a better record than them.
That's probably fair.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I think it's a very lateral move. I don't think you get better. I think you get better in cap space than you do in roster space.
For sure.
I'm not in love with Sam. You know, this happens often where a guy has 1 year, 2 years. You don't really see it often at the QB position, but I mean, he got paid. That's a lot of money. I would say, he was never great in New York, and he had a good year. Yeah, but I'm not in love with the move personally. Not my team, but I think it's very lateral. I will say I think he's going to a team with less weapons. Less offensive
way worse
talent,
situation.
A worse offensive-minded coach, a worse offensive coordinator, and luckily, though, for him, after his last time we saw him on the field, he played the Rams. Luckily, he won't have to worry about them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's going to play the Rams twice a year. Like, he's going to play the Niners, right? They're in the Niners, the Cardinals. Like, I don't know. I think it's great for Sam. Like, Orange County kid, like USC kid, congratulations to him. Like nothing against Sam, but like, I don't know. I think I'm not saying Geno's going to be fantastic in Vegas either, because I don't think that. I just think that both of them were like average at best, and they just swapped average quarterbacks for a little less money.
It was time to move on for everyone involved, and it just kind of fell that way.
Yeah.
So
I think here's the thing: is the way I look at it also is that if say we didn't sign Sam Darnold and we didn't sign anybody else, and you do have Sam Howell at the helm, and then you go and draft Dart, it's a shitty situation for everybody.
For Dart, yeah.
Because you're throwing him into the fire, and he won't get to sit behind anybody. Yes, Sam may not be the true veteran expert, but I think it'd be the best available option. And I was happy
they're both from OC too.
Both both OC guys. But the thing that was the biggest thing for me is I got very nervous. I think it was about a day ago or 2 days ago. There was a rumor that they were talking to Aaron Rodgers, and that was the last quarterback that I wanted.
I think that paying Darnold, I still think is a better choice than Rodgers. I know Darnold's meant to be he's not the answer long term either, but it's still going to be better than Rodgers. My last question on this, obviously, as an Ohio State guy, you have to ride with JSN. With him being the only receiver practically left in the room right now, do you have to hype him up to the West Coast Seahawks fans, or is everyone bought in on JSN being the number one and only guy?
I think everyone's bought in that he's going to be the number one. I think that, he's going to be the number one guy, but I know we're going to go draft a receiver somewhere in the draft, but he's still going to be the number one option.
They should trade him to the Jets.
They should trade him to the Jets.
No, they're not.
I'm in for all the Buckeyes to the Jets. I'm in for all the Buckeyes to the Jets.
Buckeyes? Is it the New York Buckeyes? I don't know about that.
But I was sad when Chase Young re-signed with the Saints. I was like, damn it.
I saw that. Yeah.
It'll work.
My other non-Seahawk take about football is when the going gets tough, all these fucking guys just care about money. Nobody cares about winning.
Oh, I hate it.
Competitive nature is gone. They convinced Myles Garrett that the best way to win a Super Bowl and easiest way would be by spending $140 million on himself. Mm-hmm. And he said, you know what? I actually think that sounds better than winning. So all these guys at the end of the day complain about all these things, and then they get their paycheck and they're like, oh, actually that's going to be okay. And I'm truly interested to see what Micah does. Let's see if Micah really puts his money where his mouth is, saying, I don't need 40, give me less. Let's see if he really means it.
I saw something today that they were talking about Myles Garrett, and that there's nobody has ever gone from Cleveland to Canton. You go from Cleveland to somewhere else, then you get to Canton. So I think him taking that gigantic contract and agreeing to it is hurting his. I mean, yes, he's a great.
No, he'll be a Hall of Famer.
He'll be a Hall of Famer, yes, but I don't think it's going to be as impressive as being a Hall of Famer if he went somewhere else. If he went somewhere else, then
his resume just might not be as good.
That's what I'm saying. The resume is not
good.
I
mean, he's so dominant, but if you look at any version of team success, they have one playoff win against the Steelers, which was magical. The Browns fans are listening, but
that was awesome.
I don't know if history will be kind to a resume like that, but he's probably still a Hall of Famer. The dude, he's unquestionably a stud. He deserves the money, but it's a soft ass move.
That game was so close to being the 48 hours of the best 40. That day was so close to being the best 48 hours in Ohio history, I thought, because they won on Sunday and then we played in the Natty that Monday, but then we got embarrassed. Shout out Tough Borland if you're listening.
Oh, sad Tough Borland.
But yeah, okay. Wild day in free agency. A lot of guys go everywhere. I just saw the tweet from Underdog. It popped on my phone. That's what I was looking at. And basically, if you're watching this, you can see this scroll that they tweeted every single free agent.
You got to send that to me.
Some of the highlights, obviously Darnold, Fields to the Jets, Najee Harris to the Chargers, Cowboys with a splash, Javonte Williams, Bears winners of free agency. A lot of good signings.
We are of an off-season dynasty rolling right now. I didn't want to get too far into it this episode, but yeah.
Milton Williams from Philly, he went to New England. That was a big, there was a lot of controversy there. So everyone originally reported he was going to Carolina. Then he came out, he's going to New England. So that came in. Hassan Reddick to the Bucks. Boy, did the Eagles win that trade. Poor Jets. Michael Hoyt. David Joseph, Oakwood product. He signed with the Bills for $24 million. Undrafted player, $24 million. Great. Greenlaw and Hafunga going to Denver. And yeah, a good first day. I'm glad the Cowboys did nothing. So that's good. Let's see if they wake up on Friday. Maybe they'll be ready to go.
We shall see. Staying 6 out of 10 excited for the Bears. Some of these are not long-term answers. It's just for a couple of years. I'm still hoping we draft somebody, but we'll get into it later. Now, a new thing for us. We were talking statues earlier this week and thought it would be a good topic for the pod. College level, professional level, across multiple sports. There are statues of players, of moments, of plays that are outside the stadiums on college campuses. And there's a lot of people that we thought deserve statues and don't have them, and also wanted to investigate a couple people that do have statues, and we're kind of wondering why. So I'll kick it to you guys first. As far as what it takes to deserve a statue, what are you kind of looking for in a player?
Go ahead.
I personally think to deserve a statue, I feel like there has to be at least a couple titles won by that player or coach. I think possibly even if there isn't a title won, some successful playoff runs, and if you're an iconic player towards that franchise. And I personally think that you have to play for a certain amount of years with the team to deserve that statue. It's kind of like when you retire from the MLB or any other professional sport. You have to wait like 5 years, like 5+ years with a team, and depending on
there's
the success,
a waiting period for a statue.
No, not a waiting period for a statue. As in the
you have to be like tenured.
Like, yes,
a guy on my list, Kawhi in Toronto. Kawhi in Toronto was a guy on my list. Ring, 1 year, magical run. Statue? I don't know. No.
He would have a cool statue if they built that with the bouncing. Like if they did like a ball bouncing, like
the shot. Oh man,
that would be cool.
It'd be just Bino's. Bino would visit the statue the day it was unveiled. He would be there for its unveiling.
I don't know. Statues are tough in my opinion because they're so subjective. Like I'm a big you should really only have a statue if you stay with them your whole career, but I know that's not realistic. I think it's easy for college, but I mean, I guess really the Lakers, all of the Lakers statues. Oh no, Shaq and Kareem are the two that have not been there their whole career. So those two, I guess. But for the most part, I think it should be. I think there should be some sort of I'm anti 1 year wonder like Kawhi. I think a statue should be earned. Like you've given so much back to the fans. Like maybe 75% of your career you got to play at that team to earn a statue. But definitely a ring. I don't know. The statues are tough because, like I said, they're so subjective. I think we're getting to the point where some people are getting statues and you're they're getting a statue. And also this is not the same topic, but similar vibe. Way too many numbers are being retired. You don't need to retire that many numbers.
Dan Marino's number is retired by the Heat. No.
Who?
Bad take.
MJ's number
MJ's number is retired by the Heat.
that's so much glazing. That's crazy.
It's a lot. Quick question. What percentage of LeBron's career was he in Cleveland for?
Yeah, no, it's gonna be small. It's not gonna be as much. Yeah, I'm just saying for my favorite teams.
No, I don't think it's a bad take, but then there's always exceptions to the rule, and that's why
he'll get one with the Lakers, but I don't think he should.
I feel like
there's a better chance he gets one in Cleveland and Miami than Cleveland and LA.
Yes,
really.
I agree.
Oh, I don't know about. I was gonna say Cleveland and LA were. Ooh,
how? Cleveland and Miami. He won 2 rings in Miami and
Cleveland.
But it's LA. It's LeBron and the Lakers. They're not going to give LeBron a statue.
No, they're going to give him one.
I'm saying they're not going to give the kid from Akron a statue. Even
they
will.
They will give him one. They will give him one. I'm just anti. I don't think only 1 ring. Come on.
It's not a crazy take for the Lakers.
But he has been there longer than the Heat.
Twice as long. So I think the quality of player is also interesting with this. It's probably all Hall of Famers for the Lakers. That's just the kind of the kind of franchise that they are. Cowboys probably a similar way with their players. There's not a lot of hometown favorites, scrappy guys for organizations that.
No, yeah.
Just say the back to Bino. We should have had Bino on for this, but a couple of years ago for the Phillies, the Rhys Hoskins bat spike.
No.
If they go on to win it all, Rhys Hoskins has been there for a long time. He was a fan favorite.
You are going to be handing out statues for freaking ground balls at this
I'm asking the question. I'm asking the question.
There's no way. There are so many cool moments.
That was an iconic moment.
Cookies.
That was an iconic moment. It exemplified the team. Nick Foles and Doug Peterson have the statue for the Philly special. That was 1 year magical run.
They won the title. That was the NLCS.
I said if the Phillies won the title.
No, I think the Phillies special is more significant to the matter of that game, to that title, than the Rhys Hoskins homer is even for the entire run.
I don't. It's just a question.
I
but
think.
My question is: do the scrappy guys?
Know.
Are there scrappy guys that deserve a statue, or is it all like Jeter and Michael Jordan and Kobe?
No,
it's only
it's got to be
only Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I don't know
who would be your best scrappy pick for because like I think there's a difference between scrappy and what you said with Rhys Hoskins. There's a difference. Like that was a cool moment like versus scrappy. Like a scrappy player.
Someone who's been there a really long time. Like I'm trying to think of like older Bears guys, but a lot of them are Hall of Fame level. Like Urlacher doesn't have a statue. Like Matt Forte.
One for the run.
Devin Hester ran one back in the Super Bowl. Devin Hester's in the Hall of Fame. Like Urlacher, Charles Tillman is about to be in the Hall of Fame. He wasn't necessarily heralded as like great during his time there, but is an iconic guy and like potential. But those are Hall of Famers. Like, so I can't think of one that's like a random guy that was on the team. Like Cutler's not getting a statue. You could think of
like a random. No.
There, I said it. Cutler and Trubisky are not getting the statues.
I don't know if like
is Dak getting a statue?
No, Dak's not getting a statue.
Michael will understand this comment more than Joey will. Like an iconic, like I wouldn't say scrappy guy, but for like the San Francisco Giants, like is Brian Wilson. Like, would you give Brian Wilson a statue? Closer for the Giants.
The Giants have some
World Series champions.
The Giants have some. Don't yell! Right here.
World Series champion. World Series champion 2-time or 3-time maybe even.
The Giants have a lot of good. Yeah, they didn't have many. No, you'd give Mad Bum the statue or Posey. That's who would get the statue.
But not Brian Wilson.
Not Brian Wilson.
Okay.
No. We should. More stadiums need statues too. I don't feel like.
I agree. More stadiums do.
You just yelled at me. You just yelled at me for giving out too many statues. Pick a lane.
No, I mean,
wanted to give a statue to a guy who had a homer in the NLCS, not in the World Series.
Right. Hell of a home run.
Every team has Hall of Famers.
No, they don't actually.
But here, let me ask you a question, Joey. Give me your 5 players who don't have a statue yet that you would give one to.
Okay, yeah.
Your 5, or we'll call it 4. Mount Rushmore.
Oh, that's a hard one. D Rose. I think there's a space for D Rose.
That's a good statue. D Rose a good statue.
Didn't one Rookie of the Year?
He falls in the gritty. He falls more in the gritty category than Hall of Fame category.
Could be a Hall of Famer.
It's the worst Hall of Fame in sports. It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Dude, I want to claim Russell Westbrook so bad. He's been my guy for so long. He's the man.
I could see him getting one maybe in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I could see him getting one. I don't know if Kevin Durant gets one in Oklahoma City. I think he could get one.
I think he does.
I don't know.
No, I don't think he does.
I think he
does. It's a tough conversation.
He'll get one in Seattle, but not Oklahoma City.
Jesus.
Ezekiel Elliott. I think somehow doing like
Ohio State
Zeke, D Rose. Zeke.
They should add more. They definitely should add more around Ohio Stadium. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. I can't think if there's
Archie Griffin.
Just Archie.
Yeah. And there's like the Buckeye Grove nearby. Woody Hayes outside the WAC. Is that hiding him because of the sideline incident? Is that crazy to think?
Yes.
100%.
I just had to say
they should do it where the Buckeye trees are.
Yeah, in the Buckeye Grove.
That's where they should do it.
Fill it with statues. It'd be crazy.
Has Ryan Day earned a statue?
We said champions. He's a champion.
He is a champion.
Does Urban get one even with all the issues?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
He is. It's the statue of him at the Chop House. Never mind.
Will Howard, he should get one.
Okay, Will Howard, he doesn't get one. Before I go into this, he does not get one.
Here's my take. Hold on.
Let's see.
He exemplified being a Buckeye so well to encapsulate this special year that we had, like the Natty or bust. Not all the transfers coming in, but like as a transfer, he was always like perfect with the media, perfect with the fan base. Wasn't there the whole time, but like, so that definitely is a knock on his statue credibility, but it's still so integral in that championship run and exemplified this team so hard in so many ways. Some sort of moment that includes him, can include Day, is representative of this magical season that we had. I think there's a conversation for it.
They should do Will at the start of the Buckeye Grove, Jeremiah at the end of the Buckeye Grove, and it's a ball in the air, 3rd and 11.
That's beautiful.
I have another.
That's
good one. I have another good one for you. Jack Sawyer definitely deserves a statue.
Okay,
Scoop
yeah.
and score. Scoop and score. But you also
could be running through the Buckeye Grove.
Yeah, could be running through the Buckeye Grove.
He gets 4 statues, like 25, 50, 75 goal line. So this is home. This is like now home. We had a miraculous run with a couple iconic moments. Jack Sawyer historically wasn't like a Heisman candidate. Like you could give, I think, Heisman finalists or Heisman winners, like depending on like what your school wants to do. Like that's obviously an insane honor as well, and could be statue valid. Jack Sawyer was never a Heisman candidate. He was honestly disappointing for a good couple of years, but has an insane moment.
College has to be Heisman, I think.
Has to be high, but okay. I think
college is so much. Champions? Okay. Would you say that's it? Just has to be a champion?
Champion or Heisman.
Hold on.
But there's so many teams that don't win champion. Doug Flutie has a statue. I don't think they won the Natty.
Does Reggie Bush get one? Does Reggie Bush get a statue?
Yes.
Yes.
He has
Reggie Bush definitely gets a statue.
And a Heisman.
Reggie Bush definitely gets a statue.
Who was the person you said it cut out for a second? Who did you say? You were like
Doug Flutie has a statue.
No, yeah, that's weak.
That's an iconic moment.
But I'm anti like a lot of those old quarterbacks.
But
Joe Namath, he's so bad. Like,
but we're also so spoiled to be Ohio State fans. It's like, oh yeah, champions are Heisman's. Like those are the only things that we ever think about. There's the all-time leading passer in Liberty history, Niall Kinnick, World War II veteran. They may have a national championship. Yeah,
Niles Kinnick,
I think he has a statue.
Who's this?
Niles Kinnick.
Oh, this is for Iowa.
The namesake of Iowa Stadium, Niles Kinnick, World War II veteran. He, I think, led the league in like passing, rushing, and kicking. He's a dog. He's a dog. He deserves a statue. Shout out Frank.
What about Tampa Bay? Do they build Tom Brady a statue in Tampa Bay?
No.
Really?
That's not a magical run. That was a mercenary year.
Gruden? Yes. I mean,
okay. So if you
didn't finish, you have 2 more still on your Mount Rushmore. You went sidebar.
We're not all doing Mount Rushmore now. Mount Rushmore.
No. I don't. I think all of the Blackhawks, something for the Blackhawks dynasty. I don't think we have a statue for that.
Kane
and or Taves and or Duncan Keith. Okay. He was a grit guy. I don't know if he'll be a Hall of Famer. I don't know the criteria for the Hockey Hall of Fame. Blackhawks and Rizzo for the Cubs World Series.
Oh, with his hands up, that'd be a cool one.
Something like that. Hands up would be good. Ball in the back pocket.
They have statues. That would be cool. That'd be a good one.
How about the celebration of the dugout? They should make a statue of that from the playoff run.
No, that's not good. Yeah, I don't know. Statues are just tough. Statues are just tough because like it really boils down to like Hall of Famers and not Hall of Famers, but like
you are a Cowboys fan, Laker fan, Buckeye fan.
Okay, how many statues are you aware of? How many statues are you aware of? That's for everybody that is regular players. How many statues? Name me one statue that's a
Pat Tillman
icon.
Pat Tillman.
Pat Tillman is an icon. Pat Tillman is an icon.
That's an icon.
There's a day
you change
in
it from
NFL
Hall of Famers.
I
said Hall of Famers to icons. They're all icons. That's why they have a statue, Michael.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. So like the statues it's tough to say like all these guys are their statues when like it's really only going to be the elite of elite. I'm using
Danny
Hall
Werfel
of Fame
for Florida. The quarterback row for Florida.
I'm using Hall of Fame as my
Danny Werfel.
Tebow, Spurrier, both champions, both icons.
Maybe Danny Werfel is also a champion.
I don't know who that is. Yeah,
weird name. Don't know.
I'm using Hall of Famer as my criteria, but it doesn't matter because you have to be an icon. Like Derrick Rose, I don't believe he'll be a Hall of Famer. That was an icon in Chicago sports. He deserves a statue. Like there's a period of Chicago sports history that is like unwritten without him. He deserves a statue. Rizzo. I think Rizzo would be a good choice, but like that was an iconic moment. That game was like that series was iconic. Like that deserves a moment. Things have to be. He
was in Chicago for a long time, but like Rizzo wasn't like a Cub forever. Like he has since obviously been.
Was he the captain?
Yeah, I don't know if we had an official captain for a long time actually.
Okay, I know there was like no official, but I remember him saying like
I believe they called him the captain.
Yeah, so like Rizzo like. Things need to be like iconic, icon. Like that's why like the Kawhi shot. I'm kind of now thinking about it. the Kawhi shot actually might be like an iconic moment. Like that might earn the statue.
Hurts to say, but does Malcolm Butler get a statue?
No.
Off the pick? Like,
no.
Where do you stand on the Warriors? Steve Kerr, Steph Curry obviously gets a statue.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr,
Warriors,
Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Clay, Iguodala has a Finals MVP.
I'll tell you this right now. I'll tell you this. So
that's a lot.
I'll give you my take on which Warriors players / coach deserve a statue. Steve Kerr, yes. Steph Curry, yes. Andre Iguodala, no.
Out on everybody else.
Yeah, honestly, everybody else I'm out on. Iguodala didn't deserve the Finals MVP. Steph should have won that, but that's a different topic for another day. KD really just came for the ring, but I'll take it. And Clay left.
I think it's those two.
Yeah, just those two.
It's those two.
If Draymond had a Finals MVP, would he get one?
No.
He's been there for a long time. He's so he's a one jersey guy.
He's a one jersey guy. Doesn't matter though. Doesn't matter though.
No.
They can all have their numbers retired together.
Yeah,
they will. They probably will. Lawrence Taylor and Eli Manning do not have statues.
Okay. Eli Manning, not an icon.
2 Super Bowls. Are you serious?
Trent Dilfer has a Super Bowl. A Super Bowl win does not make you an icon.
Bro, that's crazy.
Eli Manning's might not even be a Hall of Famer.
He's still an icon to the team. That's iconic. 2 Super Bowls versus Brady.
I don't think he deserves a Super Bowl. I don't think he.
Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor then.
Lawrence Taylor. I didn't say anything about Lawrence Taylor. I said Eli Manning.
I'm done. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think it's just I don't know. I think the statue conversation is so subjective because it's also like fan driven. Like fans also drove the entire last 3 years to get Pau Gasol's number retired, and he got his number retired. Don't get me wrong, huge Pau fan, definitely should have gotten his number retired, but don't think that happens without the fan base. So, my thought process.
What is any of it without the fans?
Agreed. These teams wouldn't exist without us.
Exactly. Speaking of the fans, we are going to kick it to our interview with Jack Settleman, co-founder and CEO of Snapback Sports, creating the next generation of fans. We're going to talk to him about how he goes to a bunch of different events, rates sporting events based on food, stadium, atmosphere, a bunch of things like that. So great interview coming up with Jack that we will kick it to now. Welcoming into the studio, Jack Settleman, founder and CEO of Snapback Sports and Snapback Agency, the #1 sports content creator on Snapchat, and a young entrepreneur who is killing the game right now in the sports content game. Jack, happy Friday. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. I'm glad you said a young entrepreneur, although you guys are in your lower 20s. I'm in my upper 20s now, but it's been a fun journey, and I like to think I'm young, so I appreciate that.
It's all about how you feel, isn't it?
It is indeed.
So diving into it, Snapback Sports, we all would love to make a living out of going to big games, seeing exciting moments, living through sports. It's what we talk about a lot. Our life is very dependent on how our sports teams do. So your life seems like a dream. When did you realize that you kind of had something that you could make a living off of? It wasn't just you and your friends going to a bunch of games. When did you decide to kind of make Snapback Sports your formal company and your full-time job?
Yeah, we went full-time in January of 2021. So bringing it back, I grew up in Baltimore. I went to the University of Texas in Austin. My senior year, Baker was the quarterback at OU. We were up in Dallas for the Texas OU game, Red River. And I had started a company my sophomore year of college where we sold phone cases with the Apple logos, the basketball. So it'd be a stencil of LeBron dunking the Apple logo. That was called A-List Cases. And so we marketed all that stuff through social. And what happened was we recognized I would pay this Instagram account $1,000. They would post our phone cases. We'd sell 1,500. It was great. But between inventory, shipping, Shopify fees, sales, tax, all that, we were making a couple $100. And that was on a successful one. And so you had to find new channels to market through, new designs. Meanwhile, that page was creating content and they were taking home the $1,000, right? They didn't have much cost. And that was kind of the old meta, which was it didn't cost much to create content. Nowadays, we spend, 5-10 grand on a YouTube video, and it does cost a little to invest in the content. It's funny how that cycle has gone. But I started a Snapchat account my senior year at that Texas OU game and just started posting content. And very quickly, we actually grew a decent following because there were like these 14-year-olds who ran social media. And if you paid them $50, they would shout you out and you would gain a shit ton of followers. And that world has changed. They're probably 24 now. But I went into the workforce post-school. I went to Action Network, so sports betting company, went to Whistle Sports, and then COVID hits. And sports are done, so we're like, what is really going on here? That was a weird time. But we got a couple opportunities. Bleacher Report or House of Highlights invited me to play in their $100,000 tournament, knockout tournament. And then ESPN wanted me to come on SportsCenter on Snapchat. And so those two opportunities combined with a brand deal we had lined up at the time, it was like, okay, I can finally do this full time. I just need to make the leap. And so made a couple more bucks in my day job, just to save up in the bank account. And then finally went full time in early 2021.
That's amazing. I mean, COVID, obviously a tough time for sports outside of the rest of the world, but to be able to capitalize on their opportunities and have the faith to make that leap is just so impressive. So that's a great story. I mean, Texas OU, Red River, one of the biggest rivalries in sports, one on my bucket list for sure. So that's quite a come up you had there.
Yeah, it rates higher than Michigan, Ohio State on our snapback experience ratings because, listen.
Okay.
This is the thing. And this is what Snapback Sports is about. Snapback Sports is about the experience. And when you rank all these rivalries or you fight between MJ and LeBron, right, these tried and true arguments, what people don't think about is like there's more than just the game and the history. And so going to Texas OU means you're at a neutral site, you're at the Texas State Fair, you're at the Cotton Bowl. There's so many cool aspects. And then, my brother went to Ohio State. He went back for the game this year and it rated it like a 6.3 because,
it was a 6.3 day. That's generous. That's a generous one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. So that's the thing. I've been at the Texas OU game before and we've gotten our asses handed to us and it still rates pretty highly because of all the other things that go into that. So if Michigan, Ohio State is the better rivalry, that's fine. Texas OU is the better sports experience.
That's fair. It probably also doesn't hurt that you guys are probably in about 80-degree weather, and for the game this year in Columbus, it was about -14. So I don't know if weather is rated into your game day experience. But
that's part of it. That's part of it. Although it can be a hot day, right? So there's all different factors. What people don't know in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, there's no Wi-Fi. So for some people, that's a great experience. For a company that creates content on social media, it's not the best experience when you literally walk into the game. You need to plan on not talking to anyone until that game's over. So, different things for different people.
Wow, that's definitely something. If something important's happening, hopefully that can hold off and somebody can take care of that for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, being a young entrepreneur, when you first started, was there any companies or did people put limits on you to things you were able to do or experiences that you were allowed to go to?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say I was posting about this yesterday, and I'm going to do a LinkedIn post on this. But over the last couple weeks, we've seen I Show Speed on CBS for Champions League coverage. We saw Kai Cenat on First Take yesterday, and then we saw Drewski on SportsCenter a week or so ago. So creators and, taking these creators and putting them into the forefront of sports media is incredible. That wasn't the case 8 years ago. And while we're accustomed to it now, I was definitely looked at as like the guy with the Snapchat account. Like I wasn't, relevant, and that's fair. Like I hadn't established myself, but it's definitely been a crazy change. And honestly, sometimes I talk to my team about this. They are putting ceilings on us, and they are limiting themselves, or they have in the past, because you look at an ESPN or you look at a Turner Sports with Bleacher and House of Highlights and TNT and, Charles Barkley and Shaq, and they're paying, hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars to run this operation. And we got a team of 12. And so when you look at them face to face, you're like, well, we can probably only do this. But I don't know. The game has kind of changed, right? And I think Barstool's done a really good job of showcasing that. I think McAfee showing that you could take a YouTube show and become the star of ESPN. So in 2025, I think it's become accepted and people understand there really are no limits. But definitely when I started, it was a completely different ballgame.
And how are you able to, like, how are you within your company? Obviously, you said you even have some people within your own company that are putting limits on what you guys can do. How are you guys able to overcome those obstacles? And you, as the CEO, how are you able to say, hey, you know what, guys, like, we can actually go and do this? Like, why are we putting limits on ourselves? We have such a nice brand built that, like.
Yeah. I mean, it takes time. And it starts with me. And that's why I've been accountable to say, honestly, the reason why those limits existed were probably because of my mentality. And we just had our company offsite that wrapped actually yesterday. We did 4 days in Hilton Head, and it was a super productive week of work. And like, there's been a major mindset shift. And for the last, since I started the Snapchat account, but since I went full time, so call it 4-ish years, the mentality was like, how do we keep the music on, right? How do we keep this thing going? And now the difference is in goals, and we're saying, we want to be a $200 million company, $200 million and $23. We like to be very specific on what our goals are. And that changes things for people, right? Like, we're going to be here in 10 years versus how do we make sure we're here next year? It starts up top, and then that trickles down to people thinking that way as well.
I think that's super important and very well said. For a company as small as you guys, I think it's incredible that you've gotten to be as big as you are. So when you're first starting, you first made the Snapchat, you're first trying to take this full time. A lot of people, they want to be big on YouTube. They want to get picked up by an ESPN. Snapchat isn't the one you necessarily think of as far as content creation. Just got to put that out there. So how in the initial stages did you decide to stick with Snapchat? How has that experience been? I know you've moved into YouTube and obviously other forms of social media, but holding number one on Snapchat is very impressive for an app that I think has kind of went in and out for a number of different uses over the years. So what has Snapchat really done for you guys, and how did you decide to stick with that?
Yeah, when I started with Snap, it was, definitely not the primary platform either. And the app's gone through a bunch of iterations. And, quite frankly, I wish it had done a little bit more. They've always been good to me. But, the first few years, Evan Spiegel, like, we would get comms from people internal at Snap, like, yeah, Snap knows about you. They love the content, but like, creators are not a focus on their app. Well, fast forward to now, and obviously the whole right side of the app is about creators, and they've got Spotlight, and so they've made pushes forward, but we were definitely playing from behind. Instagram and Twitter, and just felt super busy at the time. Looking back, obviously now they're busy, and I think that's the case with YouTube right now. Like, I think there's probably someone out there who's like, YouTube is so busy. There's a million channels. How am I going to grow? Fast forward like 5-10 years, right? I've been in this for 8 years now. I think we're going to get to a place. Like, my bold prediction is every athlete has a YouTube account that they're posting videos on in the next 5 years, similar to how like every athlete has an Instagram account. So, yeah, spend the next 5 years building on YouTube, so you're in a good place. But the one great thing, the thing we always talk about on Snap, is that all the communication and commenting was one-to-one. So if you think about an Instagram comment section, or if you tweet something out, YouTube, wherever you want to go, everything is a comment section that is public and visible to everyone. So because of that, there's this bullshit like cesspool of comments that everyone has, right? So everyone's trying to get the troll, like they're trying to get the troll comment, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
On Snap, because of the one-to-one communication, there's no incentive for you to respond like, hey, like your take sucks, or it's more like, hey, I disagree, and then I respond back like, here's why I think this, and they respond, oh, I get it, but I think this, right? So because of that one-to-one, we created a much more positive and still engaged community.
That's awesome. With a brand like that you've built up, what would be like a piece of advice that you could give towards like a brand like ours? We're only a group of three. Not only a group of three, but we're one kid still in college and two kids out of college, working corporate jobs. How would you say we could build up our own brand?
Yeah. I don't want to say it's simple because that would diminish all the hard work it takes, but it is simple in that there are only a few things you need to do. One of them is take a super long-term vision. There are, everyone looks at us today and they're like, oh, you've made it, you've done it, whatever. But like I said, like I started this 2017, we're in 2025, and that looked like me posting on Snapchat every single day, 20 times a day, answering 100 messages a day, right, for the first 3 or 4 years. Then it also took me getting 2 full-time jobs for 3 years and finishing out my schooling. So take that long-term vision. Number two is like, what's your angle, right? Like, why would people care about what you're doing? And that could be a very large audience, or it could be a very small audience. The one reminder is like, when you don't think there's an audience for something, there's probably an audience like 10 times the size of what you're thinking. And so our thing that we recognized was, one, our angle is like, we're extremely consistent, right? Everyone knows you could come to our Snapchat account and get the best moments and highlights and news and memes in sports, right? And so that's what started. Nowadays, what makes us different is we're focused on the experience. And so while everyone is debating, LeBron and the Lakers and all this, talk on First Take today, we're talking about, we went to see Kevin Durant play back in Austin and what that was like and what the Moody Center's like. And, we're creating trivia content that's super engaged for, our demo of people who love watching that content. So what is the angle? And, we really learned that through launching our podcast with Marlon Humphrey. Like, yes, Marlon's a big name, but like, why should people care, right? What are we talking about on that show that's different than other people creating content, and what gets them to tune in? So think about like, do this forever, be consistent in it, and then, what is your angle? Why would someone tune into what you're doing?
I think that's great
very
advice.
Yeah, very impressive, especially for someone, like you said, you've been in it for 8 years. I find myself in my day-to-day life struggling to kind of have that long-term approach at things. So for you to be in a space that essentially has been kind of the Wild West over like the last 5 to 8 years, with just the amount of content creators and where it's going and what it's about and all that stuff, to be able to focus on that long-term vision is very impressive. So I commend you for that. And finding a niche, I think, is something that, one, everyone tries to do in everything that they do, but in sports content is a whole nother ballgame, and something that we talk about very regularly. I think yours is super interesting as the experience aspect of it. Mike, I don't know where Jake's at in this ranking, but Michael has been to every MLB stadium in the country. Jake, where are you at on that list?
I have as well. I've been along on that ride too. Technically, I've been to 33 total MLB stadiums.
So nice. I'm 6 away. So I have 6 to do. And after that, we'll release a video on it, which I'm super excited. So we're going to knock that out, hopefully this baseball season.
To toot my own horn, it's like the bragging that I have is I've been to both old Yankees and new Yankees, and old Mets and new Mets, and technically old Rangers, if you technically count that.
I count that. The Rangers is potentially going to be the last one. So when we've worked with the Arlington Sports Commission, that's what we were doing for the Texas-Ohio State game. And so they obviously cover the Rangers as well. And so the idea that we've pitched them is, as I complete all 30, making Globe Life the last one and potentially like throwing out the first pitch
Oh
at that
wow.
game,
That's
which would be
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
So overall, I looked at the chart on your website. The website has the ratings based on fans and atmosphere, food, uniqueness, and then stadium and gameplay. I know I got your top 5 here as well. PSG Champions League, NFL Munich game, Kentucky Derby, Chicago Cubs. I live down the street from Wrigley Field, by the way, and Wisconsin football, which is amazing. So outside of those 5, and even just one specific aspect of one specific event, what has been your favorite one to experience?
I mean, the Derby one was ridiculous. For those who don't know, we were working with a company called Commonwealth. Commonwealth is an app that you can buy shares of a horse. Like you can own a horse, and you don't have to like train the horse. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
feed the horse. You don't have to do all the shit that goes with being a horse. So they've democratized this, and I just wanted to own a horse. And so they worked with us, and we were promoting their app. And part of that was they actually had a horse running in the Kentucky Derby. Um, for whatever reason, we end up in the owner's suite for the race. And Mage, which was their horse, goes off and is like in 19th of 20th place. Like it was a disaster. Like the whole company is built upon Mage running at the Derby, all the hype behind it. They had a lot of success in the early days, and like this was going to be their big moment. Their horse is going to run top 10 at the Derby, and then they can promote the app. And so we're sitting there, and you can see in the video, like Casey and I, the intern, for those who don't know, look at each other because the owner of the app is like right next to Casey, and we're like, shit, like what do we do? Like how do you even react? Like we're watching their company fall apart right in front of us,
Yeah.
and the craziness ensues, and Mage dashes from the back and not only finishes top 10 but wins the Kentucky Derby. We're front row in the owner's suite. NBC's got me, Casey, and Docs, the owner, and it's just fucking mayhem. And so that, everyone was like, dude, that's a once in a lifetime. And I don't want to like be egotistical, but like that's not even once in a lifetime. That's once in a generation. Like people
Yeah,
don't win the Kentucky
for sure.
Derby and be part of that experience. So it'll be tough to top that. I know it's not our number one experience because, like
Mm-hmm.
I said, like while that moment was so unique, there's other things about being in Louisville and all the things that go about being at Churchill. But yeah, that was a insane, insane experience for us.
We were able to get to a good amount of Ohio State playoff games and just some cool experiences over the last couple months. And one, it's the greatest experience ever. I was at Ohio State, Michigan, the college frozen confines at Wrigley Field. That was amazing. Jake went to every playoff game. One of our other friends went to the national championship game as well. So it's amazing, but it's also exhausting at the same time. So as far as kind of personnel that you guys have, I noticed that both the agency and Snapback Sports only have about 10 to 15 people listed. So are you guys spread out all over the country? How do you decide kind of who's going where and how that whole situation works? Because it's quite a lot.
Yeah, so the agency's a separate business, and that's run by my business partner, Alex Scheinman, who represents sports creators. So while we have 10 to 15 people, we actually don't use any of those people in Snapback Sports content. So the content or on camera talent for Snapback Sports is down to 4 people. So it's
Wow.
myself, the intern, Cone, and Tim. And Cone and Tim just got hired in essentially like the last 8 or 9 months. So
Oh wow.
for the last 2 football seasons prior to this one, it was me and the intern on the road every Thursday night game and every Monday night game. And we traveled a lot. I just got
Yeah.
married last May, and my wife said, when is this going to change? And so as part of, that vision, I still am going to travel a bunch. I love, searching for this top experience, but now that we've got more people who can be in the videos, it's super helpful. But the team of 12 it's spread all across the country. We have the New York office where a few of our guys work out of, but for the most part, we're in, Texas, Michigan, Florida, Ohio. It's all over the map.
Now you bring up, like, obviously you have your full breakdown of how you rate all these stadiums, uniqueness and the gameplay and the food and the fans, and you obviously your experience at the Derby. That sounds like a pretty high one on your list. What would you say the best food is that you've gone to a stadium? Who has the best food?
Oh, good question. Now, this one's tricky, and we probably need to split the categories because there's club food, right? If you end up in the
Oh
suite,
yeah,
you
of
end up in
course.
club section, and then there's just like general stadium food, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is
Right,
accessible to everyone. So obviously the top food ones are going to be those club or suite ones.
of course.
There is in the Brooklyn Nets arena, or actually
Oh,
at
okay. I know
Barclays.
this. I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
exactly what you're gonna say.
So we went to a Liberty game and we got courtside seats, and they were telling us about this, behind the basket dinner spot. I forget, I genuinely forget what it's called, but I think it's essentially like Carbone or one of the
Dang.
really nice Italian New York spots, like in the arena. So that's pretty tough to beat. And then,
I'm sure.
unlimited snacks and candy and whatever you need, and then a courtside seat. Tennessee, we had really awesome food.
Mm.
I would have to refresh my memory off of the best, like just plain stadium food, but yeah, Barclays is pretty tough to beat.
Barclay, I remember we went to the Barclays Center, kind of like when it first opened. It was like in those early years, like the KG Paul Pierce years. And
Yeah,
I remember the big thing that was happening at that arena at the time was these gigantic slices of chocolate cake. People were walking around with like gigantic slices. They were like this big. It was on the club level. I remember seeing it.
I never
Um,
get to try that, but that sounds epic. And you mentioned an Addy, like that's on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. Atlanta's got Mercedes-Benz's amazing food and really well priced. And so you
Great
take into
price.
account, right? Like if I could get a hot dog for $3, is it the best hot dog in the world? No, but like $3 at a stadium, you got to factor that in. So
For
lot of
sure.
different
100%. I think
factors.
I think that's a great thing that they did with that.
Yeah.
So we would be remiss not to bring it up. So this interview for the listeners happened when Jake and Jack ran into each other at the Cotton Bowl. Jack mentioned earlier he is a Texas alumni. His brother is an Ohio State alumni. I got the rundown from Jake and all the Ohio State people that were there. As a Texas fan, what was the Cotton Bowl like for you? You're seeing the Ohio State on that playoff run with your brother. What was that like from your side?
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted this the other day, but like Matthew Golden, who is flying up draft boards, he was Texas's number one wide receiver. He actually got hurt pretty early in that game, and so on top of the fact that Ohio State was absolutely loaded, I really think Caleb Downs might be the best player in the country. Um,
Yes.
they lose Golden, and then wide receiver two was kind of Isaiah Bond, and he had a pass breakup on himself. He need the ball out of his hands. So Texas is pretty limited, and obviously with Quinn having gone to Ohio State and then coming back to Texas,
Mm-hmm.
people love to like rag on Quinn, and obviously Sawyer makes the play on Quinn to win the game. But I actually thought, like, given the circumstances, Texas did a really nice job of moving the ball because they couldn't run the ball. They couldn't block. They lost wide receiver one, and they still managed a way to score 21 points and be on the goal
Yeah.
line, ready to, or however many they scored. So that game it was fun. When Blue caught his second touchdown, it really felt like Texas actually might win the game.
Oh yeah.
And the pitch play will haunt me, and you guys know my life. You know my life on the goal line with the Ravens in Texas. But yeah, it was cool to, I think Texas was the biggest threat to Ohio State, and it was
I
a great
agree.
game that just, didn't go my way for what feels like the 100th time.
Oh yeah. That's wrong side.
That's
That's
why
what we're
you're
all
on.
about.
That's what we're all about. Wrong side. I got to ask you two questions about that event being there. Number one, where were you sitting for the game?
Yeah, so I mentioned the Arlington Sports Commission. So we started in club for the first quarter, but all of Casey's
Okay.
friends came down for the game. And so that's how we ended up in like the third level with them because we wanted to go watch the game with them. So we moved
Gotcha.
around for that game a little bit. Our initial seats were definitely way better, but that is another unique point of like what Snapback is about. What's a better experience? Me and Casey watching by ourselves or us watching with all his friends, and I had a friend or two up top. So that increases your experience, even if you can sit courtside or you can sit in club. It's like it can be more fun with your friends, and that's a lot of what we covered in our Super Bowl video, which was if you were to go to the Super Bowl, your favorite team goes, but you could only go or go with one other person, or would you rather be with the same people that you watch every game with and be in celebration with them? What would you do? So yeah, we decided to sit with all his buddies and led to more screams in my ear when Quinn got stripped.
I can definitely say that, you know, going off of your like platform of the sitting up top, just you and your brother, or with friends, I was the complete opposite. I was top when we got to the stadium, and then I snuck my way down all the way to that bottom level into the Ohio State student section, first row of the student section, and I was right there to see the strip sack. So definitely very different experience for
Yeah.
sure.
Jerry World's amazing. There really isn't a bad
Oh
seat,
yeah,
which is a nice thing about
no.
it. But being in the student section is, part of the fun.
Second question, kind of a two-parter. One, what was your reaction? There's 12 seconds left in that first half. Did you think Ohio State was going to run a play? Did you think we were going to punt? What were you going to think we were going to do
I don't
there?
expect you to have known every piece of content I posted because we've posted thousands and thousands and thousands. But after this, shoot me a message. I'll find you the video. We scored to tie it up, and we were doing at every game we go to. We try and do a fan meetup, so we meet up with our fans at halftime outside a designated section, and it was kind of a hike to get up there. So we left after Texas scores, and I am there posting a video about how Ohio State fucked up. They dominated the first half. I mean, we couldn't move the ball, and we're tied at half, and like just talking like it's over, like we're gonna win the game now. You blew it. And so that video goes live, and then you just hear this roar, and we turn around the corner as we're getting to like this open section. I can see that fucking big jumbotron, can't miss it, and Travion's running to the end zone. And so that's kind of the content game. Like if you post it, you got to leave it up. And
Yep.
I think that's got a couple 100,000 views. The funniest part is like people responding like, "Bro, you should delete this." Like they weren't even tied at half, and it's like, you think I don't fucking know that? You think I wasn't in the stadium? Like I know what happened. I posted this. I'm an idiot. And Ohio State fans just love that video. So, no, I did not think they would score, to answer your question.
And the second part of the question is obviously, and I'm sure I can envision your reaction. I think I saw a clip of it, but what was your reaction? Goal line. Sawyer gets in there, strips him, and then runs it back. Like, what was your
Yeah, it was fourth down, right, on that play.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
correct. Fourth down.
Yeah.
Fourth down.
So the second down pitch, I don't want to say I gave up, but mentally I was like, why did we just do that? We probably fucked up. And so it was more of just hope, scoring from 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 8 against that defense. Just given our red zone inefficiencies was just going to be so tough. So on fourth down, I mean, it literally looked like the play happened in slow motion. You could see Jack get around the edge, and Quinn had no one to go to, and so he just held on to it a little too long. Yeah, I will say, looking back on it, I've mentioned a couple times other places. The year prior, I was in New Orleans for Washington, Texas, and Washington killed us. And then somehow, some way, we came back and we got down to the goal line. We hit this huge bomb play, then we hit an out route, and it's literally first and goal from the 8 or 9 or 12-yard line. And it was just we're gonna win this game. it felt like we had come back. We got so lucky. We were out of timeouts, and the Washington running back gets hurt and actually earns us a free timeout. Otherwise, we would have gotten the ball back with 12 seconds. So we have 50 seconds. And so we end up running 4 atrocious plays and fail at the goal line. So then you're here a year later. You've got your veteran quarterback. You're at home in Dallas. And like, this is the storybook ending. Like, last year you couldn't get in, and this year you're gonna do it. And not only do we not get in, but we lose 7 points. Like we go backwards. So that was not fun. And Ravens a week later at the goal line with Mark Andrews. It's just torture. It's torture.
Oh, that's
but
bad.
Yeah. We love it. So that's why we love sports.
We're not picking on you. We've had friends at the last 4 Michigan games, the Georgia game with the missed kick on New Year's. So that's just what the wrong side of life's all about. But national champions, what a run we had. Want to hit on the agency before we finish wrapping up here. You mentioned it's a snapback agency, an agency for sports creators. Take us through what that's about. Started in, I saw about 2021, kind of on the rise of NIL. Do you guys work with any NIL, or is it strictly creators?
Yeah, strictly creators. I know Alex just renamed the business Snapback Talent, which is kind of a slight shift. I mean, just a name change, but more representative of what we do. I guess in that business, agency is more, I guess like it's just a different meaning, but the general idea is like we represent creators in sport. Have not broken into NIL yet. I think in large part for a couple of reasons. One, like the true meaning of NIL, which would actually be like these athletes as digital creators, it's really just like bullshit. Like you're paying these athletes, right? Like Caleb Downs' NIL value is not $2 million, but because of the way NIL is positioned, like he's able to get that. So that's number one. Number two, the athletes are not really creators yet, right? So that's the issue is like Caleb isn't creating Instagram content, TikTok content, Twitter content, YouTube content. He's balling out on the field, but he's not a content creator. And so when brands with maybe a tighter budget or who are going to be paying for like sponsorships, they're going to want good content. They're going to want distribution. And there might be athletes, Livy Dunn, right? She's got millions and millions of followers. And she's a content creator. And so it's just a different world. And so we're more focused on the content creators right now, but hopefully that changes and NIL could be a place that the business expands into.
Amazing.
I saw on your website that you offer a new creator workshop. That's like, to us, that's like interesting and very intriguing. What does that look like? And what does that have to offer?
Yeah, that's something that we just discussed at the offsite. We have done a pretty poor job of redeeming our Superfam membership. So we have a $10 a month membership that you can join into, and it's got a bunch of different perks. It's got our sports betting picks. It's got a exclusive Discord. It's supposed to have a creator workshop and a bunch of other kind of like value add features for our biggest fans. It's a little bit of like the chicken or the egg with Superfam. So we need 1,000 people to get in there. So we can afford to have someone manning the Discord and making sure all this stuff happens. Because we waver between 250 to 400, depending on the time of the year, we never really have enough to actually invest in it. And because of that, a lot of that, value add stuff slips through the cracks. So we're not fully there yet. My vision for it is, I can still share that, is like, I've learned a lot, obviously, through this business. And my big thing is transparency and giving back and, helping people learn. So some of the tips that I gave at the beginning of this show, those would be kind of amongst the theme of what someone in that workshop would get. More tips on editing, like, thumbnail feedback, different stuff like that.
I think that's awesome. Great to give back. especially in kind of an industry where everyone kind of wants to keep their closely guarded secret. It's very quick. The content industry is very quick moving. So I think that's amazing that you're trying to give back. Hopefully you guys get that numbers up and you guys can get that rolling. We'll finish wrapping it up here. March Madness right around the corner. Do you have any plans to attend any games? Texas, I don't know what kind of a year Texas has had.
I don't know if we're
Actually,
going to be in. We just had a big win
I
on the
hope we're not.
road, but
football schools, hand up, football schools.
Yeah,
But are you planning on
schools.
attending any games? You got any picks and previews for us heading into the tournament?
Yeah, so no picks and previews because honestly, I just haven't been that tapped into college hoops. It feels like a really good momentum year for college basketball, though. So you had OTE, which came onto the scene. You had G League and G League, or what is it? Yeah, it's called G League now, or it's
Still the
called
G League, yeah.
yeah.
Still the G League.
Yeah. So you had that. You've also had, a wealth of like international players coming in. So it kind of diluted college hoops. And then NIL happens and people are like, is this good? Is this bad? I feel like it's good. Like if Cooper Flag, there's no chance he stays, but even the conversation around him staying, right? That's
Yeah.
good for college basketball. So it feels like a great momentum year. I'm excited to be more tapped in with it. We will do our bracket pool, which is a lot of fun. We'll put up a prize and people will join and we'll create some content around that. But yeah, I'm excited for March Madness. In terms of going to games, it always gets interesting with going to tournament games, neutral sites, stuff like that. A lot of like the fun of college basketball is going to Cameron Indoor or being
Yeah.
at, these arenas. So when you go neutral, like you'll get 8 different fan bases for weekend one. So it's not necessarily the best experience. So we think about stuff like that. We've talked conference tournaments, different ideas on that front. So TBD, we came out of the offsite with like some plans, but we got to finalize those soon.
It's a really good point. Because I haven't been to many college basketball games, but yeah, I went to the Champions Classic a couple years ago at United Center, and there's a lot of split fan bases, which is cool in theory. But if you're looking for March Madness, high pressure, winner take all game, you're looking for that college basketball feeling. So I actually didn't think of that. That's a really good point on the first round.
Another question for you. What would you say you're most looking forward to event that you haven't been to yet that you're looking forward to getting the chance to go to is?
Yeah, I really want to see what the World Cup is like, but I don't know if the World Cup, like in the US, is actually what I'm most excited for. Like, I want to see it
Right.
elsewhere, only because I've been like the championship or the finals at MetLife. Like, I've been to MetLife. It's not the greatest stadium.
Right.
Semifinals are in like SoFi or in Dallas. Like I've been to those, or in Arlington. Sorry, Arlington Sports Commission. I got to remember to make sure people know where Jerry World is. So yeah, I would say the World Cup maybe in 2030 or even 34 would be probably cooler for me. But we are still excited to see the World Cup. One future dream, and maybe it never happens, but like when you go to Augusta National for the Masters, I've never been, you can't record content. So while that's a bucket list item for us,
Mm-hmm.
it's not anything in our plans because there's no really purpose in going there. Maybe a video where we can talk about having gone to the Masters, but I think being able to showcase what it's like would be way more enjoyable.
I think that's a great pick. I think the World Cup is definitely something, especially when it's in another country. I think that's a great choice. And then one other question, last one for me at least. Yeah, week one in the shoe. Are we going to see you here in Columbus, Ohio?
TBD, unfortunately.
Oh, TBD.
I know. It's so every year I play in this Fire Island basketball tournament. And that is something that when I asked for my wife's hand in marriage, my mother and father-in-law said you can marry her, but you have to play in this tournament every single summer. And normally, the tournament ends Labor Day. It's weird this year, college football, like Texas, Ohio State would normally be like the week after. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why it's so early this season.
I'm not
So
sure.
I missed my father-in-law's comedy show. He was doing his first ever comedy show to get down to Dallas for Texas to Arlington, sorry, for Texas Ohio State. So that was kind of my one bullet used on Texas Ohio State. It was that or week one, but I sprained my ankle last year playing in the tournament, and my father-in-law just sprained his ankle this past weekend.
Oh,
So
wow.
my argument is we're old people. Like we got to stop playing, pick up basketball and let me go up to Columbus. So we will see. I assume Casey will be up there doing some content. But
would you?
yeah.
I mean, it better be a night game. Let's just say that it better be a.
There's
night game.
no way that's going to be at noon every day of the week.
Is it a Fox game? Is it a Fox game?
They haven't decided yet. It hasn't been chosen yet. And the only other good game or in my opinion, good game that's on that is I think it's Miami versus Notre Dame or Clemson Notre Dame. It's one of those two.
I think Clemson plays LSU, maybe.
Clemson, LSU, and then it's Miami, Notre Dame, I think is who it is.
I don't know if Miami and Notre Dame are even going to be good. Like, that might have been a last year thing.
So I don't think...
But does Fox even have the pick? How's it work when it's out of conference?
I have no idea. So that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe we aren't going to be the night game? I'm not sure.
I have a feeling that somehow ESPN and ABC are going to get that game, which would make it a night game. Because...
I agree.
You've got... Texas with the SEC, although it is an Ohio State home game, so maybe Fox owns those rights. We'll have to dig to the bottom of this.
We'll get to the bottom of it. Hope to see you out there, Jack. We'll definitely hit you up if you are in Columbus. Thank you for the time. This was awesome. Everyone, Snapback Sports, Jack Settleman, this was great. Snapback Talent as well. Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, the works. They are out there, and they are doing big stuff. Jack, thank you so much. We'll kick it back to the studio for our clutch moment of the week. Our clutch moment of the week is brought to you by Shore Metals, serving Southern California since 1970. Big enough to serve you and small enough to know you. See Stan, he'll help you out. Michael, who is your clutch moment of the week?
Clutch moment of the week goes out to actually Stan himself. See Stan, he'll help you out. Stan, he'll help you out. Goes out to him. Big weekend for him. Saturday night. So Jake came back home, obviously, as we all know, for spring break. But he made steaks on Saturday night. That was great. So great steaks by him. Incredible job. Well done. So clutch for that. Then Saturday morning, he was also clutch because we originally had planned to play pickleball. Me and a couple friends. Had about 6 guys. He was just going to work in with us. He wanted to play. He was coming with us. Lucky for us, the other guys slept through their alarms, did not come. My dad was there in the morning with us. Had 4 guys. Thank God he was there or we wouldn't have been able to play. So clutch moment, he was our 4th for pickleball. Huge. Second clutch moment, great steaks. So Stan, clutch moment of the week. How about you?
That sounds like an ideal weekend for a grown man.
Oh yeah.
I chefed up some steaks for me and Maddie last week. Did a little reverse sear action. First time I ever did that. Had to pop off a little bit during the apartment search. So that's electric. And I'm an anti-racket sport guy, but being the 4th person to complete the numbers is huge. So
yeah,
hell of a weekend.
Always good to be the guy to fix it, make things go away. So glue guy,
glue guy mentality there. My clutch moment also goes out to one of my parents, my mother, friend of the program, Mama Z, reoccurring guest. My mom still does my taxes for me, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. So TurboTax is firing in the Zolneric house. If anyone is in need of those services, by the way, she will do it for a price. This is no free ads, but shout out Mama Z. Everyone's working through their taxes. Moose said his
you got to be careful with I was going to say you got to be careful with TurboTax. They're hitting on you these days.
Is the Wild West out there, and it's good to have my mom kind of take that pressure off me. So clutch moment of the week goes out to Mama Z.
Love that. Yeah, no, tax season's great. We do ours through Shore Metals, so I just send my forms to there. They do it for me. It's perfect. I just company does them. I get everything together. I fill them out. I just send them when they're done. Easy job by me. They submit everything. Boom. TurboTax, Mama Z, Stan the man. Clutch moment of the week. Now to Outside the Line. Now, wrapping it up with Outside the Line, we're going to start it off with Tone Deaf Person of the Week. Who do you got?
I could very easily shout out a lot of NFL ownership and agency as free agency is picking up, but we kind of beat that dead a little bit earlier in the episode. So I'm gonna go a little bit of a different route. Over the weekend, me and a couple friends, we went and saw Mickey 17. Decided to make a night of it. Went downtown. Sky rises down there. Wrigleyville, short apartment buildings. That's not happening up by me. Decided to go downtown, see the bright lights. Got a nice burger, an elite burger, I will say, a really good burger.
Where'd you go?
I don't remember the name of the restaurant.
Couldn't have been that elite. Thank you. Continue.
It was pretty good. It was a good burger. And we go to the movie theater nearby. It's a nice little AMC down there in Streeterville. And we go in there and there's like police tape like covering off an area. And it's kind of in a mall. So you had to go up a couple escalators to like get to where you needed to go. We're like, what's going on, man? We get to the final escalator. It's like there's a flood in the hotel above the movie theater. Concession stands are broken. No. So that's my tone deaf moment of the week was concession stands being broken at the movie theater. Luckily, there was a Walgreens next door that we did hit up for candy right before. And we weren't even able to get a drink, actually. We got like...
I was just going to ask, is your AMC that you go to a icy behind the counter?
It was out front, but there was no one behind it. We didn't really ask, so there was like there was just no one behind the counter. So I will say I had sour Skittles. I also got chocolate. And you need popcorn to kind of balance the whole thing out.
Agreed.
You need a drink to wash things down. So tone deaf, the popcorn machine and the concession stand's not working. Mickey 17, it was all right, pretty entertaining, but that really just reclining seats too at this AMC.
Yes, of course.
So no popcorn was pretty brutal for me. That was my tone.
On the same train of thought, I also saw Mickey 17 this weekend, was at AMC. And funny enough, luckily there was no flood, so we did get our concessions. But funny enough, our AMC that we go to, I make sure my seat is in the right spot, not only in the middle or on the side, but I want to be in prime icy refill because our icy machine is out in front of the counter. You can fill it up yourself. They don't do it behind the counter.
Yeah.
So like if I get in there, start drinking it. If it's running low, right around the previews, I just go in there. If I'm running normal amount, not chugging it that day, by the time I'm walking out, I get a little refill on the way out. I want to be close for icy access, but agreed, the popcorn is needed. You really have to make yourself sick. I like making myself. You get the butter on there, some salt.
Oh man,
I really like putting myself in some pain. So I agree. That is incredibly tone deaf. Can't happen. That's number one in the movie theaters. I agree. My tone deaf, that's a good one though, is maybe to be a pro athlete all your life, you were told to stay in shape and do everything great. Maybe we were told a lie. Jokic, 30-20-20 game. And the only reason this is tone deaf is because when I was telling my dad about it at pickleball on Saturday, I said that I was like, oh, did you guys see the Jokic game? Like to some of my buddies, they said, yeah, I did. What a crazy game. My dad was like, oh, what happened? So I told him what had happened. And he was like, oh, wow, that's insane. He's like, never been done. He's like, he's so good. He's like, my dad watches more Lakers, I'd say, than NBA. Like he just watches like Lakers. And he was like, has he slimmed down a bit this year? And I was like, no. He's like, that is unbelievable that he's able to play like that and like move the ball like that. He's like, it makes no sense from a biological standpoint. I was like, no, you're absolutely right. So maybe tone deaf. Maybe we were told a lie. Meg, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to lose a couple extra pounds before match day, but I will. But I'm just saying, maybe we were told a lie growing up.
Fat is in right now, I guess. And also, hate to break it to you, match days in about 5 seconds. If you still got a couple extra pounds to lose, it may be a little.
I'm ready. I'm just gonna do like the diet. I'm not going to the office as much, so I can get the workouts back in 2-a-days. Start skipping lunch. I was going to the lunches with the team, full skip lunch. But yeah, it's going well. And yeah, so doing that. So but maybe fat's in. Maybe fat is back.
We're back
in fat.
I'm very in for that. So tone deaf, being skinny, and I don't know if that's back to trying, like I talked about the last couple weeks with people actually like caring about their job because Jokic is the biggest basketball hater in the world.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Something to monitor.
Definitely.
Right side, wrong side. Finish us out. You go first. What do you got?
Okay, right side, I have first time 2 weeks, I'm sorry, not even 2 months. Got to actually enjoy a weekend. Got a haircut finally. Got to shave finally. Got to just like do basic shit at home, like clean my car out or just do some stuff around the house. Like it wasn't the craziest weekend by any means, but just like average stuff that a normal human needs to do to survive. Friday night, got to go out to dinner with some friends. It was a late dinner. It was around 8:15 because I was getting off late. I said, sorry, you have to wait for me if you guys want to go. Went to Korean barbecue, all you can eat. Maybe that's a small tone deaf, actually. Maybe I should have used that. But small tone deaf is, I don't know if you guys have all you can eat Korean barbecue places by you. They're pretty common out here. Mm-hmm. But shrinkflation, maybe. The portion's smaller, service terrible. I don't know. Ooh. I don't know what's going on. So maybe something to revisit, something to monitor for next week. But right side, just like getting relaxed at home, an actual good night's sleep. I was bummed. It was daylight savings, so we did lose an hour, but still didn't matter. Didn't matter to me. Still was nice. It was nice. It was nice though to see the sun a little later today. I will say that
for sure.
So that was my right side. Wrong side, I would say, is today my parents. Olivia is visiting for spring break as well as we know. Jake, my parents for the Ducks game didn't get to go. My dad offered me a ticket. I said, no, you go. You got the tickets. But odd man out. Soldier though. Didn't accept the ticket. Let my dad go. After being clutch one of the week, it was the least I could do.
Got to give him the nod. Way to hold down the fort. There comes a time in every man's life where he has to step up. And you missing this Ducks game in March, this was your time to step up. Proud of you.
Exactly. So that's my wrong side for the week. How about yourself?
Mine goes out to something we've brought up in Tone Deaf a good few times, the streaming world. So my right side goes out to Ohio Senator Bill DeMora, frustrated by Ohio State's constant appearances on Peacock. I just got Peacock
myself
back,
as well.
My parents still have cable, but I would just miss those games pretty much. I'd find an alternative broadcasting measure to watch the game, or I miss those games completely. Bill DeMora, Ohio Senator, has introduced legislation to Ohio State football games from airing exclusively on a streaming service. So there would have to be, I don't think it'd be a nationally broadcast option, but an option that is not
a regional, maybe
regional option, probably. Definitely not strictly on a streaming service. We're seeing that happen a lot with even movies airing strictly on streaming services, not just in theaters. Games are obviously becoming a problem with Thursday Night Football going to Amazon Prime, NFL Christmas Day being on Netflix. In a day and age where streaming is kind of, I don't know if we're going to say overdone, but streaming has gotten to be a problem. Prices are going up. There's way too many of them. Bill DeMora is on my right side of this issue.
I think it's a fantastic right side, and I know there's a lot of people mad at Trump or love Trump, but these are the problems the politicians should be battling. These are the ones the United citizens of the great United States should be worrying about. Because it's true, streaming has gotten exorbitant in price, A. B, it's all over the place. Thank you. Like you said, every game has a different streaming service. If you have ESPN, Mondays are ESPN, Thursdays are Amazon, Netflix on Christmas, Sundays if you want to get Sunday ticket, you have to get YouTube. It's all over the place. All the prices are going up. YouTube TV by itself is going up.
Yeah.
Netflix is going up. I know a lot of the companies have gone back to the ads. So now you're paying monthly fee, but you're getting ads again. So why not just watch TV? Maybe Who's Back of 2030, maybe? No, I was going to say 2010. Maybe Who's Back of 2030 will be like years down the line, like, we'll bring the boxes back. Bring back the boxes, because I mean, like, it's a mess. It's a mess. Yeah. Like, I don't understand why we can't, everyone was like, cut the cords, get to streaming. And even here, it's kind of tough because, like you said, for streaming football, another example is baseball, for example. My one friend, his family has YouTube TV. YouTube TV does not carry it was Bally's Sports, but now it's going to be FanDuel Sports. They bought Bally's. Does not carry FanDuel Sports West for the Angel games. Okay, so they can't watch Angel games in Orange County based on YouTube TV. They don't have that channel. So that's problem one. Mm-hmm. So then you're like, okay, alternative. I will buy the MLB at bat full pass, which is like basically Red Zone for all MLB games. The problem with that is if you buy that, MLB has created so many problems with blackouts that you still can't watch the Angel game. You could watch Twins Cubs in Minnesota, but you wouldn't be able to watch Angels A's 15 minutes down the road. So all these streaming services suck. Thank you, Senator. Thank you.
We've talked about our campaign promises, the Sharber Zolneric ticket of 2037.
Yes, yeah.
Well, that's not an election year, but regardless, right around then.
Around there, we'll open up our campaign there.
Bill DeMora, a high pick for our cabinet at the moment.
Yes.
There. So right side goes out to Bill DeMora, senator for Ohio, and trying to get rid of streaming services. My wrong side also I would say, societal issue that we are battling, and not all of us are battling, but we continue to see and are fighting as kind of a group, is stop sleeping and becoming involved with your coworkers. Recently, there's a little company called Barstool Sports. They have an office in Chicago where I currently live. And there was an event on Friday. It was Friday. It was Brandon Walker's funeral. He's a personality there. It was coming up for his contract to be renewed, and they were holding a funeral for him. There were many speakers at this event, during which we found out there was some drama brewing in the office. There were girls yelling at each other. We didn't know why. The old men that were sitting on the couches at the time of this stream didn't pay no mind to the TikTok girls, the 20-somethings. They're yelling. They're always yelling. That's what they do. That's what they do in this day and age. But they didn't know why he was yelling until a very brave soul in my wrong side moment of the week. Nikki Smokes takes the mic to eulogize one Brandon Walker at his funeral. He openly admits, with very little pushing, that the drama in the office is about him because his ex-girlfriend and a girl that she was friends with, he had went out to get drinks with the other girl. Also, he had claimed to be sober for almost 3 months now, so that was a problem in and of itself. Liar. Basically admitted to getting he admitted to getting drinks with this girl, and the drama was all about him, and he was tooting his own horn, and everyone was like, you should stop talking because you're just digging yourself a further hole. His ex-girlfriend comes up and said that he confessed that he still loved her that weekend, but she had invited him over, and it was messy, and sleeping with your coworkers is crazy, and all the grown men in the chairs were sitting covering their eyes because it was the cringiest thing ever. And it was really funny to see Nikki Smokes in that situation just stand behind the girl, absolutely eviscerating him, and as a man. So he was my wrong side moment of the week, and sleeping with your coworkers never ends well is my tidbit to the fans.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely feel like even just today, like with coworkers, like there's so like, I don't know. I feel like you hear a lot more stories about parents or people you know, like, oh, I met my husband at work.
Yeah.
Oh, I met. Very rare now. I don't feel like that's normal. I think a lot of people don't do that. I think it's like very no. And luckily, Barstool is a company that gives no fucks, and that's great. If you're listening to this, we're open to hire. But like, there still comes a point for even them where they're like, hey, we should probably chill this out a little, like calm down a little bit. But yeah, wrong side, Nikki Smokes, poor guy. But I don't know. He said City Boys are up. I think everybody's in the wrong. I think everybody's in the wrong.
Back to what you had just said, Big Cat is kind of him making HR decisions is kind of crazy. Like like him being like having to have HR conversations is always very funny. There was recently the guy who destroyed the bathroom. He had to talk to him, and that seemed awesome. Very funny. Like just shit everywhere for people who were unaware of that situation. That's hilarious thinking about having that conversation. And two, this conversation, allegedly, Nikki Smokes was under the instruction that if you sleep with another coworker, I don't know the total number of coworkers he slept with, but if you have to have that rule put in place, you're a dog. And I don't know if that's dog in a good way or dog in a bad way. But to really, really take that stuff home with you is you're painting yourself in a bad spot there. So he's my wrong side.
Yeah, brutal. Great episode of The Act, though. Great episode. So
all
funny.
Time.
All-time episode. Brandon Walker staying with the company. Going to be great. Mm-hmm. 5 more years. That's going to be great. But yeah, great episode, but rip Nikki Smokes. That was brutal that day. But yeah, great episode. Great interview this week with Jack. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was a big one. We had kind of set up for a while. He was great. I know Joey and Jake did a great job. You guys got to see all three of us, Jake and I together, home for a couple days. Joey got to us three. Very rare that happens these days, the last couple months, but back at it. So now we're working back together. Busy season wrapping up for public clients, so going to get some time back. Can't wait. But yeah, next week, episode 50, number 50. Woo! Maybe talk about best moments of the 50, what we've learned. Maybe talk about what's been happening. This episode is actually coming out on March 12th, and March 13th is going to be our 1-year anniversary from episode 1. So 1-year anniversary coming up. Next week, episode 50. Probably going to talk about that a little too, along with everything with Match Day and everything else going on in St. Louis and St. Patty's Day and everything. But
Severance, of course.
Severance finale. Well, I think the Severance finale actually would be episode 50.
It would be so it would be that would be.
But start of March Madness, episode 50, match day. A lot of good stories coming next week. I think definitely you're going to hear Joey and I speak about it being from a year in, what we thought, what we've learned, what we didn't like. I think that would be a great conversation for us to have.
Yeah.
But a great episode. I can't wait to be there. Episode 50. We made it.
We made it. We said we're going to be here episode 1, episode 10, episode 50. We're chipping away at it. So appreciate everyone for continuing to show support and listen. Again, great interview with Jack Settleman. Go check him out. Snapback Sports is absolutely flying right now. And also keep using all of our links. Our link tree is in our bio everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok is flying as well. Tell us what you want to hear. The Mount Rushmore is kind of picking up for us. Interested in doing a couple more if there are any good debate topics. I'm looking at you, Bert, Charlie. You've thrown some good ones in the form previously, so keep showing love, guys. We love doing this, love having you around. And episode 50, a year flies by with you, man.
Yep, year flies by when you're having fun. 5-0 coming up, 4-9 wrapping up. Thank you guys for listening. Happy Wrong Side Wednesday. We'll see you guys next week.
Stay blessed.